Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Pensado Space. It is great to see you. Our guest is Mark Parfitt, tracking engineer on tour with Justin Bieber, has his own mixed life, really brilliant, really talented. Enjoy our conversation with Mark Parfitt. Mark, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How are you guys?
We're doing good. Mark right now is in Minneapolis as you're viewing this, and he's on his way to Chicago tomorrow, in the middle of Justin Bieber's tour. But a really fascinating background in that started as a guitar player, decided to find his way, then said recording is a better way for me to go, and got involved with Poo Bear and other kinds of things, and then stepped out on your own, and all of a sudden somebody says, come go with me, and now you're doing all this exclusive stuff with Justin, and you got releases with Normani, and like, you got cool ass producer engineer hair. Like it's all it's all working. Did I get your journey mostly correct?
You pretty much nailed it exactly. I mean, I had my whole start as a kid, just growing up playing guitar, and definitely was like in bands, but realized I was way too nervous, like on stage. And I found like the recording stuff. I'm like, man, putting delays and reverb on stuff is like way more fun to me than like being nervous all day in front of the show. So I kind of went that path, and then found a school over in Tampa, Florida, where I went and got like a 4-year degree over there, and started my like studio journey, and ended up moving out to Los Angeles, and meeting Poo Bear and the guys at Black Star, and that kind of like really gave me just another level when I was moving along my journey here. And after all that, like I somehow got landed into this Justin world now too. So like now that's just been the next little phase of my journey, which has been like the greatest, pleasant surprise, really, because none of this was planned. I just been kind of head down working for the past couple of years, and all the situations just kind of presented themselves.
Really amazing. I would, for our audience, Mark is a classic example of being ready when opportunity hits. You kind of don't know what's going on. When that door opens, that window opens, you got to be able to step through it and deal, correct?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, even getting it locked in with these guys, like I had worked with Justin once in like 2020, just for like he came to my studio, cut a quick verse. And so he had known who I was at least, but it wasn't until maybe in like October in 2021 when Harv called me. I was in a session. He goes, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" Like, yo, I'm working. He's like, "Oh man, like me and Justin like need you. Like, can you be here right now?" I'm like, "All right, cool. Let me talk to these guys." Cut that session, went over, and then cut 4 songs with them that day, because they had somebody there, but that person just like flubbed the session or whatever. And I walked in, and it was a Pro Tools template with 1 line cut, and they're like, "Yo, all right, go for it." So I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like, let's do it." And they kind of just been calling me back ever since.
Mark, I got a weird question for you. It seems like your pathway to success involved building shit all over the world for people, and including buses and studios and everything. You were like a construction worker for a while. Was that an intended pathway because it worked? All that worked because you were around people that could help you get to the top. And was it intentional, or was it just you wanted to be in the studio and you just enjoyed it, or both?
I wanted to be in the studio and enjoyed it. Like, even like building out, having to like oversee studio builds and like manage facilities and stuff. I never really wanted to do that, because like, it's always nicer when you're the recording engineer. If something breaks, you just tell the head engineer, and you're like, "Hey, AC's busted, or the console's being weird," and they just figure it out. But like, then having that be my responsibility, like along with recording and stuff, it was one of those things I just did. I love it, but I was doing it to support the recording craft, because really I want to be working on just the music, and any kind of construction stuff, let like other people, do that kind of stuff.
Next time someone comes up to me and says, "How do I get to the top?" I'm going to go say, study the Parfitt theory.
Man, the Parfitt theory is just doing whatever I need to do at this instance, because I've done like everything that in audio to make money some way, somehow, like working in live sound, working in bars, restaurants, installing little PA systems and karaoke things, to studio, to I've been on like soccer fields, miking soccer teams and stuff. It's just like everything. So whatever you can do that is like relatively related, and ideally have your one thing that you want to end up in. The studios is where I wanted to ultimately end up.
And ultimately that is a way more important point of this than so I don't want it to get past. What Mark did, what I did, what Dave did, what Raj is doing is when you are coming up, you do what you need to do to get to the next stage. It's not a straight line. It could go left, it could dip, it could go up. And while we're being funny with it, the reality of it is 99% of the people that you emulate and are successful exactly follow that path. So for our audience that's watching, when you get that shot and it's left hand and you don't understand it, take it. You're going to learn something. It's going to come and apply later. You're going to broaden yourself out. I mean, if you look at Mark, if we just guessed his age, the reality of his experience at this stage of the game for everything he's done has put him in a permanent position with an absolute superstar stud who I think is underserviced. He is when John Mayer says one of the 2 or 3 top melody guys in the world, Justin Bieber's in the top 2 or 3, that's real. When I talked to Josh Goodwin, who I think is just a complete badass and you worked with, and seeing his commitment to what happens in the Bieber world and so on and so forth, and you guys' partnership. So the only point I'm making is that it's not a direct route. Pensado's place was because of a medical emergency. It wasn't some sit down and plan and here's what we're going to take over the internet. So yeah, man, that's the way the game is.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about just doing whatever you can. Sometimes you got to just do what you don't want to do to get to the next spot, but it's all just about being patient and planting all of those seeds everywhere. And things eventually play out as they should.
Hey, Mark, you had started working on a bus with all the gear in it and recording studio in it for Justin. Did you ever finish that?
Yeah, this is what I'm in right now. Actually, it's like, it's real. It's nothing super crazy. I mean, because there's only so much you can do with like 100 square feet of space.
Right.
We got like just a little recording setup over here and some outboard gear, typical pop vocal chain and everything. What we need. So we got it going. And it was super random because like I was recording and Josh texted me and he's like, hey, when you're done with your session, come out back, there's a studio bus ready to go. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I get over here, it's empty. And he's like, yeah, just we got just loaded with some gear tonight and then you guys are out tomorrow morning. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Just start tour tomorrow and then like let's just pull together, pull off the little vocal rig and borrow Josh's mic and threw up some of these hippie things and some lights and we're good to go now, man. We got it pretty slick and we got all the little, even if we want like little mood lighting and all that stuff.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Get super vibey.
What have you learned from Poo Bear? He's one of my favorite human beings on the face of the earth. And every time you meet him, he says, happy birthday. And I love that guy. What have you learned from him on an audio level?
Man, I learned so much from Poo Bear. Like the few years rocking with him was like so important for me. Like the biggest takeaway was probably just how powerful a concept and melody are to a song. And I really learned like just all the little tiny details of chopping, nudging, splicing, stretching, tuning vocals and getting a great performance from an artist all through Poo Bear, because he just has a really unconventional technique and he's very quick with it too. Like he's not going to be there waiting around and he doesn't want the artist ever to feel like they're struggling or it's too hard, because this is supposed to be easy. This is supposed to be fun, So like when we work with him, it's like the fastest process, easiest process, and it just dialed in my musicality so much just learning from him, because he executes, man. Like when he gets at his mic and his idea, all he has to do is think of solid concept and we're off, like as long as we have a great concept to start the song, like everything is just going to fall into place after that.
Now, same question. But about Josh Goodwin, what would you have learned from him and seen from him?
I mean, Josh, I've been watching all of Josh's stuff for years now. Even watching him on your guys' show, like 2015, right. And right. I've learned so much. Just I've seen this next level of professionalism. That when I'm around Josh, that's the biggest takeaway. Because when I see him, he comes into the room, like he'll be like, "Yo, can you load up this instrumental over this new track that you guys cut today?" He'll come in, he just lasers through that shit in like 5 minutes. Is focused in, is like, cool, print that, and then he goes off to the next room so he can mix in his world. And it's really just learning like because when you're dealing with this level of artists, like the professionalism just has to be at an all-time high, and your level of just
the delivery, like the expectations are really high.
Is always just has to be up here. So watching Josh has like been cool because I'm like, okay, that's the next level of that's what the top like.
Yeah. So sometimes I call Josh and just tell him a joke and say, Josh, once or twice a week you have to smile. Like I know that Marine shit that you got is like dead on, but let me just tell you a joke so that you laugh and relax. Our birthday.
I know, man. He's stern all the time.
Yeah.
But it's funny. He's like hippie stern. Like it's like the funniest little contrast. But he's cool, man. Josh is awesome.
Yeah, he's stern and bare feet. And
it's like real confusing.
And Josh wears so many hats, and each hat is at the very tip top of the industry. Like he does way more than mix. He's a one man tour de force. In the music world, everything involved in getting a record done and finished, he's doing it. He's
mixing it, helping A&R, helping
everything.
I mean, and vocal producing. I mean, he's doing a lot of stuff, man. So
the thing that he epitomizes, and you do, and frankly his manager does, Buffy, is you get those hats because you deliver, and ultimately you don't get them if you don't deliver. It's a very democratic process, and when you deliver, and then you deliver consistently, then you develop trust, and then people go to you and say, hey, your shit works, and so we're going to keep giving you shots. And when it stops working, they'll take them away. But for all those people now who want to be sort of hybrids of things, you can't talk about it or kind of play with it. You're either it or you're not it if you want to play in the big leagues. You can talk a whole lot of shit along the way in the not big leagues, but in the big leagues, you either deliver or you don't. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. And yeah, he definitely does that. And it's just a big process for all of us to kind of, figure it out.
Yeah, but you do too. I mean, the thing that has been great to learn about you, Raj is a big fan. And as he was, Raj likes catching me going, oh, so you don't know about Mark. And I said, well, because I knew your name, but I didn't know the background. And so as he was laying it out, the great part about what you do is I think that you are selective about what you go do, and that you bring sort of the best Mark to the best projects and so on and so forth, as opposed to I'll just take anything and do anything. And you don't seem to be that way. You seem to be very selective.
Oh yeah. At this point in my life, I've definitely gotten once I got locked in with Poo Bear at the studio, that helped me just X out kind of all things that I never want to do anymore,
Right,
and really, now that I'm kind of in the Justin world too, it just helped even more so where I can, I'm only going to focus on projects that I love and I'm passionate about at this point. And I've done all those projects where you have to take this so you can just pay your bills and work with whatever weirdo producer, whatever weird artist, in the most disgusting studios or wherever, done it all. And now I can just be selective on just working on things that inspire me.
Really quickly, because I know Dave has a question. Is there a Mark signature, or is there a signature that there isn't a signature? Is it speed? Is it trust? What is it?
I think probably right now it's probably speed. Really is the biggest thing, because I'm still recording majority of the time of my career right now. So I think the thing that gives me an edge is like, I'm trying to be the fastest person possible at this. And I've like got loads of macros set up so I can do 10 sequences all at once and just click one button, you know, and just I'm just trying to be the fastest possible. Of course, you want it to sound good, but that's just a given, you know. It's got to sound good, but just get the speed and accuracy at which you get there is what is going to help inspire whatever artist or songwriter you're working with. Because if you don't know where they're at, if you don't understand, because they're not going to be directly telling you anything like, oh, let me punch in that line again. A lot of times, like, you just have to understand, like, oh no, they don't want that line. They're going to redo that one time, and you got to bring it back a bar and punch in for them or whatever it is, you know. So if you can do that fast, like, you're going to get into the game. You're going to get in a lot of rooms if you're really quick with it, and you're just a cool hang too, you know. So like, I think the Mark Parfitt signatures, I'm just trying to be fast as all hell, and I'm just the chill, quiet guy that you know is in the room, and I'm not going to shake or disturb anything. We're going to keep everything flowing always, and
Nice.
But it'll change here as time develops. We'll see what the next one is.
Mark, our dear friend Andrew Sheps has a new plugin out called Bounce Factory. You got to check it. It does everything for you. It's incredible.
Oh man, yeah, I was peeping that one actually with the whole sound flow setup and everything.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really
life changing.
Yeah, well,
man.
Vacation changing.
That
part of life. It makes your life easy, man. I mean, it's really good. Just take a look at it, because
I'm definitely. I saw a little bit about that because he's just trying to streamline the whole thing so you can just get all your stems out without having to struggle, right?
And it does it automatically. It calls you when it's done. It does everything.
Wow.
Everything. And by the way, give me a story from the Snoop mix, Applying Pressure. You mixed
that one's funny. Yeah, I did mix that, and I recorded YK Osiris on it too, because that was a Poo Bear song that we did with him while I was in Miami. We recorded YK Osiris, and then later Poo Bear wrote Snoop's part, and they had it all recorded and everything. And it was like late, random one night, Snoop's A&R reached out saying like, hey, they're gonna use your mix on Applying Pressure, like, but do you have the Snoop vocals and stuff? I'm like, no, I never mixed those. Like, I thought you guys were mixing that. And they're like, oh no, here, we'll get those over to you, and can you just have that over like ASAP, because we're supposed to turn it in like today. And so I'm like, oh, okay, cool. They sent over the vocals at like midnight, and I, you know,
yeah, that's always happens.
They're like, wait, you didn't mix it already? I'm like, no, no, I don't know who mixed that. I don't know what's going on, but sure, I'll mix it. Hell yeah, send them over. And got those, and you know, within like an hour or two, you know, sent it back after. And I just pretty much almost kept like basically my record mix from YK Osiris too, because they said that they were cool with that. So I'm like, okay, I mean, if you guys are cool with it, I love it too. Whatever, let's go. And you know, so that was pretty cool. But that one was just a challenge because it was like hearing Snoop's C800 mic versus we cut YK Osiris on an SM7B. You know, like just they're so different. So just finding that balance is probably like the hardest thing, but with that mix.
I got one question that we might have to edit out. Are you related to Rick Parfitt, the lead singer from Status Quo?
No, I'm not. I've seen his name on credits everywhere. I'm like, who is this guy?
He's the lead singer with Status Quo. I think he passed away. But
wow.
Yeah, he's British. He's British.
Yeah, unrelated. I'm just a random kid born in Ohio, moved around all over the place.
What part of Ohio?
Columbus.
Oh, cool. I have roots there. My uncle was a teacher at Mohawk and was on WNCI, and I grew up not far from there. So yeah, all that stuff. What do you monitor with? What do you listen to? What do you listen on?
Regularly, just NS10s are the normal one. But here, like on the bus situation, the NS10s are kind of like, there's a little too much to be bringing in, especially bouncing up in hotel rooms. I've been using like, I guess a smaller version of the NS10s were these little realistic Minimus 7s.
I haven't seen those in years. How'd you get those?
I know. You can get these on eBay, man. Yeah, these are some serious dad speakers here.
Serious.
Sure.
Yeah, that's cheating. That's cheating. If you cross a pair, get me a pair. I'll pay back.
Oh yeah, no, I'll send you a pair. Oh, for sure. I probably have 2 or 3 pairs of these because they're those ones that like you can drop them, throw them, whatever. They're not going to break. And if I left a pair behind somewhere, I'm not going to be like upset because you can just.
When you get back in town, let's talk about it. I don't want to take anything from you, but
oh yeah.
Those are all I had at one point in time.
Man, they're jamming for what they are. You get this and a little $100 amp off of Amazon, and you're going crazy. $150, and you got a solid little miniature NS10 set up. And I've been mixing like crazy on these things, and
I agree.
They've been working.
I started my career in Atlanta, and that's all we used in Atlanta. Everybody.
Really?
Yeah. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Herb. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, do you mix in Pro Tools? What are you mixing?
Oh yeah, Pro Tools for sure.
Pro Tools, gotcha.
Yeah. Once I found Pro Tools in like 2011 when I went to school, it's just been blinders on with only for sure. But I'll mess with Ableton and stuff every once in a while for like recording, and because like so many producers I work with use that as well. So I just know that one as well, just so I can help them kind of
right.
issues. But.
Yeah, that's actually why I was asking. And as you think about, with all the stuff you got going, what is the dream of the next step? Do you have you strike me as the type of guy who is strategic about at least where you'd like to go or stay open to?
Oh, for sure. Correct? Yeah. No, I definitely have my next step. And I think that's like the most important thing, is always thinking of your next step. Otherwise you'll just be kind of like wandering and lost, and yeah, next step for me, knock out this tour, see get back in town. And I want to try to either get like a house with like a big room so I can put up a studio, or see if I can find like a small room in town and put up like my own little space so I could at least be recording and have a workplace to mix and be loud. And that's probably next step, just get my own like solid room in town and start building out the mix dream a little bit more. But
I may have some ideas for you if you are interested. Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to talk more, man. Yeah, for sure. Because that's like my goal is I know in order for me to get the next step, I need to have my own space like that. Because when I look at like all the engineers that I admired, like none of them work for a studio necessarily. They'll work at big studios, but they don't work for big studios, And that's where I've been really like, okay, cool. Now I need to figure that out and have my own like nice setup where I'm not working for a facility. I might be working at one, but it's more of renting a room or something, And
I got something for you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sure. No, I love it, man.
For sure. The other question I had too was, it's always fascinating to me that I had a conversation this morning with Abbey Road, with the principals at Abbey Road, and we were talking about how the power has now accrued back to, and look, Dave and I, we don't want to take undue credit, but when we first started Pensado Plays, we were just babes in the wilderness, right? And engineers were these unknown people and secrets and so on and so forth. And now that's all been exploded to hell, and everybody, they now think about themselves branding and the style of what they do, and their plug-in lines, and they're people. We feel very passionate about the fact that we were able to say, these people are badasses. There is no music without them. Like you can talk all this shit you want, but if you don't do so the thing that I find interesting is you now can think about it differently. Mark Parfitt might do something in streaming or in gaming or in movies or there is no cap on where you want to go with what you want to do. And Mark Parfitt in the metaverse or Web 3.0, those are all massive opportunities. Do you think about that as well?
I mean, I tried to, but I'm still just trying to dominate make my way in this little space before I start dominating. But I mean, it is interesting because that's where everything is going now. And you guys really started like paved the way for all of this, because nobody else was doing like what you guys are doing and putting engineers and producers and songwriters like on a spotlight. Now people start to do it a little bit more, and like having Twitch and Discord and all these where engineers can like really show the process. It's way more open, where like you guys were the innovators for this, really. Like nobody else, no other major mix engineer was putting their full like mixes. I'd be watching Dave's like into the layers and being like, oh my God, he's showing the actual process. Like this is like, why am I even going to school right now? I have the guy showing me exactly what the hell to do. Wow. And like, and it really like just paved the way for this next engineers, where like I feel like everyone can be so much better because we have like all the information right off of the jump, where like, you know, 20-30 years ago you just had to like hopefully knock on a studio door and somebody lets you in, and then you can just peep the process over time. Now I'm like, you can get that as a high schooler, you know, and learn all the same techniques.
And it's changed the economic structure, the opportunity structure, the curve. It's you know, I mean, we don't tout our own horn very much, but we're very cognizant of being the first. Look, there's plenty of cuts and scars and stuff also from being first. But nonetheless, I'm like you in that I like a muscular challenge. Throw some shit at me, I'm gonna fucking bust through it and kill it. So
I mean, you guys were the first to figure that out, no doubt. It's been amazing. Like I started my engineer journey probably about the same time you guys started the show. So I feel like I've just been growing up with you guys this whole time, you know? It's funny.
Well, send an invoice, Herb.
Well, I was wondering if you're going to ask for a percentage or what.
Well, listen, I used to think a stereo bus was something that you took to Sepulveda and Van Nuys. So there was a whole lot that I had to come along with. Does your personal taste in music play into what you want to work on?
Oh yeah, definitely at this point. And because I've been listening to just pop R&B music mostly in the past probably 7-8 years now, so that's kind of really all I've been interested in working on for the most part. But you know, before that, I grew up on just all types of rock as a kid. So like on my first studios and stuff, I love recording bands and we do everything from jazz to bluegrass to whatever at some of these studios, and that was all great. But nowadays I'm more like, I don't really want to hear a bunch of guitars and deal with headphone mixes and all that. Like I kind of like the pop ways. It's a little nicer on my ears all the time.
Oh, I get it. I definitely get it.
Hey Mark, I read somewhere that you were excuse me. I read somewhere that you were providing direction to voiceover talent. What does that mean?
Providing? Oh man, because I did a ton of voiceovers when I was working over at Big 3 Studios in St. Petersburg. I had one client that
I grew up in that area.
Oh, you did?
Well, I was born in Ybor City.
Oh wow, that's awesome, man. Look, fucking Ybor is crazy over there.
It's always been crazy.
Yeah, Ybor is interesting. The studios that I did a lot of stuff for like Cartoon Network, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and stuff with because this one voice actor that liked me just always would book me at her studio. And then when I moved out to Los Angeles, and I was like, I was working at a really nice studio in Florida, but coming out to LA, you're nothing again. You're just even if I was in an SSL room, but now nobody cares about you. So like when I got here, one of the first gigs that I did just to make money and keep like the dream alive or whatever and pay bills was I got in at a audiobook studio where I would just be recording audiobooks for like 9 to 5. And then at nighttime, I'd just be, hitting up any little contacts and get to work with music producers and rappers or whatever, because all musicians are on the night schedule. So I would do like audiobook stuff and do voiceover things like all day, just in your headphones, reading along, super boring. And then like at nighttime, I'd be doing all the music shit, just fishing around, trying to find like whatever team I was going to be hopefully linked up with, until I found like the guys at Black Star and Pooh Bear. Then I was like, all right, all these random whoever's and audiobooks. So I was like, cool, done. Got that out the way. Just was like first few months out here, just trying to, find my footing,
Yeah. I find that amazing. I really like that.
It's all those things of just doing whatever you got to do to get it done. So if you can there's so many ways you can make money in audio, but people just don't realize, besides just like recording music, like you can do audiobooks. You can I have one of my old assistants that's doing like, he's doing like a yoga app that they do meditating sequences, and they just like, he's just doing all the audio for a yoga app. You can like, there's so many ways that you can use this to make money, but like just to feed the dream of when you actually get that studio gig or whatever. But you could be doing live sound for a little outdoor event or what, like there's so many things, you know. So that audiobook thing was like one of the many things I've done to, you know, just get cash. No.
I have a little bad news for you. Here's the problem that you just ran into, which you actually created for yourself, but I'm going to be the nice uncle who helps you through it. That kind of information that just imparted, you have got to be part of when we do live events or when we're educating people. I'm going to find when you have some space so you're on one of our panels. Because what you just said, and coming from you with the credibility you have in what you're doing, is manna from heaven for students, for parents who have to make a decision about schools. The idea that there is a variety of ways to make a living, and here's how you have to learn, and here's why you do those things. Dave and I can say it all day with lots of impact for sure, but you saying it has an extra kind of impact. So know that I won't bug you a lot, but I will bug you a little. I'll do it through Raj so you guys can hang out, because it's invaluable what you just said. Invaluable. Yeah,
no, I'd love to set it up. And I mean, it's all just about, there's so many ways. You just have to think. You can't just be one-sided and think, because otherwise the dream burns out, because it's getting paid off of making music is like one of the hardest things to get going.
Ever.
Like,
that's
ever. Right. Like when you get it going, it's possible, but the hardest shit is like getting it started. So like you got to be able to want to like just record a random voiceover, do a random live sound event, be a stage hand at a concert, be plugging in lighting and video walls, like whatever, working at a TV studio, being an assistant, putting a lav mic on somebody. Like there's a billion ways, and a lot of these things could be some 9-to-5 kind of things too, where musicians all work at night. So go knock out whatever thing that you got to do during the day, and then do the fun stuff at night that you really love. And eventually that takes over.
Absolutely. You guys are on tour through the summer?
Yeah. This US leg goes till July.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. July 4th.
It's not a Pensado's place without a non sequitur from me, but I'm noticing, and I'd like to hear Herb on this too. I'm noticing that, like, years and years ago, there was a song called 99 Balloons, and it was in German. And I loved it because I didn't understand a word. And I realized at that time, this was before I came to LA, that the vocal, the importance of the vocal is the sound, is the lyric. But the melody of the lyric. And so as a mix engineer, I'm trying to think, how can I enhance that feeling to the listener? Because how many songs have we had like Gangnam Style? That big ass song, you can't understand a word of it.
Nothing.
So it seems to me that in the type of music that I like, the content of the lyric is not as important as the melody of the lyric. And as an engineer, and then chime in, please, Herb. Why do you think that is neurologically? Or am I wrong? Please tell me I'm wrong if I am.
I mean, sorry. Go
ahead, Mark. No, go ahead.
No, I mean, I think just melody it can resonate with everybody. So like the melody is really the most important thing of the song. Everything else is kind of is whatever. Nobody's singing the beat at all, or the music. And so as long as you have a strong melody, that can resonate with everything. It's most important. That's all that really matters at the end of the day.
I don't think I have a lot to add to that. I think the challenge in the music space for those of us who do this is sometimes it's a really interesting journey to find out the whys and the hows and the whos, but it comes back around to how do you feel? How does something make you feel? And I think that's often not taught enough to remember how important that is. Like sometimes there's a mistake that doesn't seem right but feels good, and you leave that in that song or so on and so forth. And I think people listen differently. So for me, the music and what's happening down in the music is where I'm at, and the lyric will hit me later, but a bad lyric will stand out and will offend me.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So I approach it layers. I know people who approach it lyrically first, but if none of it feels right, it's an exercise in artificialness.
Yeah.
You know, and what is great about the Mark Parfitts of the world and the folks that are doing what they're doing and the Rajas and the other things is there is a relationship now that used to not be there the same way with melody and pads and things that get emotion across and space. And I think Bieber has been brilliant in his choices of music for almost his whole career about actually being ahead of where you think you should be for his age and so on and so forth, and being able to touch you and go, that was a Justin Bieber song? Shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's folk or it's crooning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Even his early stuff, like his early stuff was more down the center and for everybody. But then you hear like journals and you're like, wow, man, this dude is like, he's singing some shit right now. Like,
he's heavy. Yeah.
Justin Bieber, you know?
Exactly. And that understanding of I need to touch, I need people to feel, I think is as an instructive thing for the people watching, the fact that Mark Parfitt feels that way and is also being successful that way, I think is a flag to you to not ignore that. Don't just copy who you think is hot and that you like. You have to find your way in it. And then you have to be smart about what you want your music to do. How does it move that girl or guy that you're trying to move? How does it touch masses if it's going to be something that's a show tune? How is it an anthem to somebody? Because if you're not feeling it, nobody else is going to feel it.
I mean, yeah, I wish that was one thing that the schools and stuff would teach or could figure out how to teach more, because all this is so just based on feeling and emotions. Like all the Pro Tools shortcuts and everything are cool, but like really you're dealing with someone's emotions. So they don't care about that, 1,000 Pro Tools shortcuts. They're just like,
right.
Do you make me feel comfortable while I'm over here? Because I'm like trying to just pour my feelings into this and just really like knowing how to manipulate that properly too. Because sometimes you need to, if you're going to put auto tune on it, you need to know the right settings, or else you might be killing the soul of it. Or if you go and vocal line everything, it's going to kill the feeling of it. Or if you don't know how to nudge things properly, or if you don't level it properly, like all of these things are going to mess up what the feeling is. And that's all all that matters at the end of the day, really.
When you say that the only thing that in today's world and in today's music, let's just say the last 10 years, nothing moves around timing wise except the vocal.
Yeah.
And so the only way you can create emotion is, you don't want to move a kick drum, you don't want to move a guitar or anything like that. But you have to, I think it's required that you work with the timing on the vocal to rush it a little bit during the preamp, put it dead on during the verse.
Yep. Lay it back here and there.
Right, exactly.
Like when and where to do that, it dictates everything. Because you said it, we're right on the grid everywhere. Everything is perfectly locked up. So the vocal is the only thing adding that like human element. So like they need to have classes just on straight vocal comping, nudging, all of that, because that is what is everything at this point now, and it dictates all the feeling.
Well, I've got some breaking news. The possibility in the next 6 months of you teaching that class and getting paid for it is quite possible, but we'll talk about that off camera.
All right, send over some rough vocals, and we'll see what we can do and get it pocketed and all that. And you see how a song changes when you have a singer that is not pocketed or anything, and then when you pocket them rightly, even if they're singing all the notes correct, if they're not hitting the right little millisecond moments, then it just doesn't resonate with you as much. But when you put them in the pocket, you're like, oh man, they just sound experienced now. You know, it's some like almost evil things that we can do. Like
the pocket is not perfect. A pocket is a pocket. The pocket has movement to it.
Yeah. It's, you don't just put it to the grid. You have to listen and tap in. That was one thing I learned. That was probably the biggest takeaway from Poo Bear, was learning just the pocket and the sense of timing and feel and inflection and because he's the master of that, and he'll do it just so easy, right off the little SM7 mic, live off the speakers while his barber's like cutting his hair, you know, and ordering food for like his family at home. He'll do that shit, and you're just like, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the other thing that's amazing is there are a ton of athletes that come out of Ohio. You got football teams, basketball teams, you've got college sports, which means in a batter's box, you got to represent. You got to knock Dave's head off, because you got a long tradition.
Representing Ohio.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, I'm not going to represent.
Not that hard because it's empty.
Oh, there you go. I heard you, Mark. Absolutely. All right, Dave, you ready to tee it up?
I am. Okay, right. You claimed to be good at this, so we're going to go.
I didn't claim anything. Those were your claims. I'm just here, man.
I got him, Herb. I got him on the move. Virtual synthesizers.
Omnisphere.
De-essing.
Fab Filter Pro DS.
Herb. 808.
Distorted.
Subs.
We're gonna use the Mag EQ4.
Okay. Favorite condom.
Favorite condom? No condoms. Honestly.
My man.
A gun. Gee whiz, I can't take it. I
thought this was audio though.
Distortion.
Different every day, but I'm gonna go with Devil Lock Deluxe.
Ooh. Console.
SSL 4000G plus.
Woo!
This is getting boring. Reverb.
Go with that Liquid Sonic Slate collab, the Verb Suite Classics, that black one.
Right.
That one's pretty nice. I like that.
Good call. Loops.
Most important, the identity of the song most of the time.
Preamp favorite.
Lately it's been this Hazel Rig VLC. That's probably been the one for me, really.
Yeah, stop showing off. Tubes or tape?
Tubes.
Favorite version of the 1176?
I like the blackface one. But not the new Universal one. Was it the original blackface?
Is the E, I think. I could be wrong. I
don't know. There's so it's hard to keep track. I just look for the black one. Dude, they got so many.
Auto-tune or Melodyne?
Auto-tune all day. Yeah, just more natural.
He broke the record. I asked him more things in batter's box than I think I've ever done. Maybe.
Oh man.
And I threw him curveballs. I threw him everything I had.
He handled it all. He handled it all. He was kind of like Steph Curry.
Well, near the end, the little prick was showing off.
Well, that's why I said he's got to come do some education stuff with us.
I got you.
Look, the fun part of us being us is knowing that the industry is in such good hands, and being able to, I think it's a little weird that our guests don't understand, but oftentimes we're as much fan of our guests as our guests are of us. And so each week we get to go, oh shit, did we? And so I take a little point of personal pride in that our boy Raj was not only dead on in making sure that we do this, he had teed you up properly. I think personally, as somebody who loves talent, that you are a complete badass and on your way to being an absolute star. And I think the other side of it is that your contributions are going to be a number of places. Yeah, we're going to jam to your music. We're also going to jam to your brain. And when we start to share that and people get to meet that and learn from you, because you are what they want to be. Oftentimes when we give talks, we send our people to our team. We'll send the audience to our team. Well, you want to come out and be a Raj, or you want to come out and be a Talisha, or you want to come out and be a Tyler, go talk to them. That you know, you can talk to me and Dave and stuff like that. You got a lot of years before you're us. Go see what you can be today. So you are fully loaded, my brother. Fully loaded.
No, thank you, man. That means a lot. I appreciate that. That's so cool.
Yeah,
I'm just trying. I'm just trying to do my best. That's all, and
you're killing it. and you're killing it, and that's why you're good, because you're clear. You know what I'm saying? Like you've got all the other stuff, but you don't let it get in the way of the end result and enjoying it and feeling privileged that we get to do this.
Yeah, no, I just feel lucky that I can just make music every day. Like even just from my first assistant job, I already knew I lived the dream when I quit working at Walmart stocking shelves and I was like patching in consoles and stuff. I'm like, I've been living the dream ever since, even when shit's hard or whatever. But like just keeping good intent and just, you know, not being complacent and putting yourself in the right position, and it all plays out. And you know, I'm just grateful every day, really. You know,
amazing. Dave, take us home.
Oh wow! I think he should use condoms.
Well, I've been with my girl.
All right, bye everybody.
That may be the best take us home we've had ever. And now I want to talk to Mark's lady and say, okay, did we cross any lines? we can edit that. But in all seriousness, I think Dave is correct. When it's so complete, there's not a whole lot to say. So guys, you have absolutely met somebody to emulate, to learn from, to see the strategy of what he does, but to keep the purity of what he does and the passion of what he does. And you're going to see a lot more of Mark Parfitt through Pensado's Place. And we'll see all you guys next week.